Bases dropped on a new round of SDH AM. John here, you there. Thanks for hanging out as you always do. Here's the rundown for today and a little bit for the week. Let's see. So today, obviously, we're going to look back at Atlanta United and Colorado. We've got all the sounds of the match. You'll hear from Ronnie Dyler, Ronald Hernandez coming up here in the show. You've also got, we'll go through the numbers. Abe's going to join us in hour one. Bart's going to join us in hour two. We do have cards and calls. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on there. And I was shocked when Bart told me this morning, but in the interest of fair play, which is, and growing the game, which is what we like to do, Bart actually had some plaudits that he wanted to hand out. I was shocked. He's like, I want to comment. I want to talk about some good things that were done. And so we'll do that too. And it didn't hit me really until Bart sent that note that all we really do is sit there, and we do look at it with a critical eye, don't get me wrong, and we should. But I think at the same time, to Bart's point this morning about a particular ref, what we'll do is when they do something right, we ought to talk about it too. And so Bart has opened that door for us this morning. So we're going to have good and bad. Might even be a little bit of the old GBU, the good, the bad, and the ugly. When Bart comes in for cards and calls, we'll talk a little bit about the Premier League coming back. And that kind of lays itself into cards and calls from the weekend and all of those moments. So Atlanta United, Colorado, highlights and post, Ronnie Dyler, Ronald Hernandez. Abe's coming up in just a little bit. Then we've got some Atlanta United 2 stuff to get into last night on the network. 2's got a big win against Crown Legacy at home, late goal. We got your highlights. 2's reviews coming up later this morning after the show is over. You'll hear from interim head coach Jose Silva. You'll hear from Patrick Weah. You'll hear from Toto Majub, who was the player of the match for Jason and Maddie last night. And so that'll be, and also looking at what's going on right now in the Eastern Conference. And the race to get in is pretty tight. And Atlanta United 2 is a part of that race. And so we'll go over all of the material that is there involving that also here in the show. We've got all of the gossip, rumor, and innuendo going on overseas, everything going on over there, and laying all of that out for the day. Okay, so the week. The week is today. Casey White, KCD, we're going to find out where she be, and she's going to bat leadoff tomorrow. We'll go through her matchup with Jessica Charma. We'll talk about Major League Soccer with Toronto and Columbus. Then we'll get into the college game with her and maybe some NWSL. So when KCD comes in, usually on Tuesdays, that'll be the purview that we look at. Is we'll talk about the NWSL with their season. We'll talk about the USL Super League if she is tapped on the shoulder to call that. We'll get into that, but it's going to be NWSL, college, and matches that she calls. We'll get into that focus. That's tomorrow. And we should have a segment, taping it, if the Lords of Taping will agree. We're taping it today later because our guest is overseas. And what we're going to start doing is we're going to start looking, and I don't know if you want to call it a lecture series, you can. But what we're going to do, because of everything going on involving John Texter and involving everything that is attached to multi-club ownership, we're going to get into those conversations with a couple of friends of ours, one in England and one in South America. And we're going to talk about the repercussions of MCOs and kind of do almost like a lecture series. We're going to walk through multi-club ownership model. We're going to look at the good and the bad and some of the pitfalls that are attached and why folks are still allowed to function within the purview of MCOs when it looks like they really don't need to be. So it'll be a part of our discussion, and it's going to start today on tape, and it'll run tomorrow in hour number 2. And so we'll start that, and we'll start having on the website probably in the next little bit some articles written in South America from that perspective, as South America is exposed to the multi-club ownership model and what they're experiencing as they go, and what to look out for in national soccer organizations, just to kind of keep your eye on things. We're gonna be looking at things with a critical eye and attach it with some journalism. And like I said, it's going to be a bit of a lecture series, and try to figure out, okay, what do we know? What do we not know? What do we need to keep an eye on? There'll be an education when it comes to MCOs and everything that's attached to it. The financing of the modern day game. And, well, why is somebody there? Why are they not? Why is it only this much? Why can't they do more? Those kinds of things. So it's going to be a real interesting discussion that we're going to be having going forward with some folks as a part of our own education when it comes to the world game and what to look out for going forward. So that should air tomorrow in hour number 2. So KCD and our beginning of our MCO lecture series in hour number 2. Wednesday, Tyler Pilgrim, Scarves and Spikes. And then we'll start getting ready for the weekend coming up. Toronto's coming to town, and we'll try and find our opposition research when it comes to Toronto FC. And then let's see. So if we can catch up with the busiest man in the Northeast, Dylan Butler, that gets us through Wednesday. Thursday, by the way, Thursday and Friday, once again, I'm on the road. So you'll see me in hotel rooms on Thursday and Friday. And it'll be the Power Hour on Thursday. We'll see if we can line up some guests. Friday, see if we can catch up with our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring, find out what's going on in the life of Major League Soccer, and get you ready for the weekend with Atlanta coming up and playing Toronto FC. All of that's going on. I didn't have the chance really to do an opening kickoff, which is fine, because we'll get into that after our guest Abe Gordon drops in. And so we have to make sure that Abe is properly hydrated, as always. And so, look, I know how Abe works. He's getting properly hydrated. He's getting all of his notes. First off, we have to ask Abe, how was the nighttime running, sir?
Yeah, the Alien Half Marathon went pretty well. It was incredibly hot for about 6 or 7 miles. And then we got hit for about 6 minutes with a little bit of light sprinkle, which felt good. And then we got hit for like 3 miles with an absolute downpour. And it worked for me. Like, I really needed that. It was refreshing and it was cooling. So the run went well. But the shoes are, I believe, still soaking wet from the rain. So everything is good. I definitely feel it in my calves right now. But 13.1 miles done. So happy about it.
I mean, so what was your time? Were you happy with the time considering conditions?
Yeah, I was hoping to go just sub 2, which is like a 9:09 pace. I ended up running like a 1:55.24, which is like an 8:47 or something pace, somewhere in there.
Okay.
But yeah, executed the plan, I think, which is what's important. I wanted to get the first 7 miles relatively quick in terms of pace, and just make sure I had some time in the last 6 miles to slow down if need be, and then and got it done. So pretty happy.
All right. So I know that obviously you might have been just a passive listener at some point, catching up over the weekend, trying to find out what was going on since you left Maddie and Nick in charge of the lunatic asylum up there in the Imitation Palatial Studios of 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. And it was Atlanta United down early, Darren Yappy again. Then you end up with Alexei Miranchuk continuing his form. And then it was 2 moments in the second half. I'm still trying to look at the PK call and go, okay, where was it? But that's just me. And I'll look at it again this morning. And then Navajo, after the PK, gets the brace. And it was moments in the second half. And it was another 3-1 loss, another long night for Atlanta United out in Commerce City.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually watching as the PK was happening. I think I was on my phone taking the dog out for a walk, and it was it was just one of those things where you wonder if it's an instance of Barracall just not knowing the league at a certain level and needing to adjust a little bit more, and that's something you probably There's a little bit of allowance for that from an individual perspective. Obviously, it's tough for the team to go down. I did think it was a foul. The leg is out there. It's if the guy wants to take a step and trip over it, he's certainly welcome to do so, and he did. Mm-hmm. He got Bear Call off guard. Bear Call was reaching, and the leg's there. Again, he could have fought and could have stayed up, but Bear Call did take him out. Like, it's a fair call. But I do just kind of attribute that to not knowing the league yet, not knowing some of the players, and an adjustment period that is always going to happen as a guy takes on a new league. I'd rather him adjust right now when the team is not going to the playoffs, when the team is not winning games, than have this happen in match day 1 of the next MLS season. So it's frustrating, but you have to allow it. Again, it goes to what we've seen, John. It sounds like and I listened to a fair shake of the first half as well, mm-hmm. with Mike and Jason. It sounds like, again, this is an argument where the team outplayed their opponents in the first half, and all you can muster by way of an outstanding performance from Moranchuk once again is a draw heading into halftime. And it's just one of those things where you've got to find ways to punish teams when you're outplaying them. And it hasn't happened on Saturday night in Colorado. It hasn't happened for the majority of this season. And if I look heading into next season, if I look at like the one thing that needs to be different, is you just have to punish teams when you're outplaying them. That's the long and short of it, if we're going to be honest. Teams have moments against you. They make them count. You have long stretches against opponents, and you do not make them count. If you could just change that up on the defensive side and on the offensive side, you do like what you've seen. There is an argument that this team has been playing much, much better over the past, even month and a half, really. I mean, it's been a long stretch now where you felt you just got completely outclassed in a match. And even now, you definitely got outclassed in the second half, right? But over the course of it, you've just got to make teams pay, and it hasn't happened Saturday or for the most part this whole season.
Looking at the numbers first half, to your point, it was, I'm not going to get into ex-Abe or anything like that, but total shots 7-4 for Atlanta United in the first 45 minutes. And it was one shot on target. So one shot on target of the 7 for Atlanta United, one shot of the 4 for Colorado in the first 45. 4 shots listed as off target, 2 blocks each. 4 shots inside the 18, which means the other 3 were outside the 18. Then you switch it to the second 45 minutes, to your point, and 50-50 possession, big chances, one each side. Colorado had more total shots at 5-4, and then you get into more shots on target, 2-1. Shots off target, obviously the same, 2 blocks, 4 shots inside the 18 for Colorado. So the numbers tilt, but it doesn't seem like they completely and totally just slam and the table completely and totally upends. So once again, it's like you're there and you're in it, and it looked like, and it was a concern that was raised here late in the week, and it was a concern raised by Mike and Jason and by Maddie and Nick about altitude and trying to figure out when you get to 60 or 65, just try to push through it. And it was in the pregame show, I believe. And it's like you're pushing through that. And it looked like it was just one of those where, right there at that wall, and you've got to be on top of it with your subs. And so you're trying to come back at that point after the Navajo brace, and you're trying to come back from 3-1, and you're doing it in the conditions you do with the subs you make.
Yeah, it's always, in my opinion, it's always tough to rely on second half statistics because of game situation and scenario. Once they're up 3-1, and again, I don't know what it looked like before they went up 3-1, but obviously you would expect Atlanta to have a lot more possession at that point because Colorado's not interested in chances. So it gets a little wonky. It can even out. So, unfortunately, again, I didn't see the entire second half, so It's tough for me to really go, how I like to do it. I just kind of vibe and talk about how I feel it playing out. But look, the thing here is, John, is you've got 8 games left, 4 at home, 4 on the road. This team has yet to win a road game all season. And obviously we're a long ways away from what like the expectations were coming into the year. Even some of the worst teams in the league have won 1 road game. And that's kind of what I'm looking at now. Everything to me is about building something to be excited for next season. you can't go into next year having not won a single road game. You want to see it happen at some point. So you got 4 chances left. That's what I'm focusing on the rest of the way. Just try and find 3 points on the road. Whatever you can get at home, you'll take. But outside of that, it's about getting some of these new players acclimated to the system. Again, I think Barrett is working through an adjustment period. That's understandable. I think Mihai's a couple games ahead of him in regards to that, and that's nice to see. But you got to get ATLUTD in there and anyone else that you think is going to be a significant part of next season. Get those adjustments out of the way as much as you can right now.
You mentioned Mihai at the back as he continues to integrate 8 clearances on the night for Mihai, 1 block and a pick, 3 of 4 on his duels, 99 touches, 96% passing at 81 of 84. Had the 1 long ball there as well as a part of the duo of center backs with him and Stian Gregerson. Then you also mentioned Juan Barracall, Luke Brennan getting high numbers, Steven ATLUTD also getting high numbers in the 20 minutes that he was in. 90% passing on 23 touches, 19 of 21. He had 3 of 4 on his duels. And so the pieces, once again, you're trying to integrate. Barracall, ATLUTD, Mihai, Leo Afonso was getting minutes last night for the 2s. And so right now, this is that period of time that you're talking about. It's like, okay, I've brought you in for a reason. Let's see what you can do. And we'll work towards something. What that is, it's finishing up right now as best you can, and then looking toward 26 to your point. What have been some of your early returns when you look at folks like Mihai and Barracall and ATLUTD and all the other folks?
Well, I think right now you're just trying to justify who is a mainstay and who is maybe more in a reserve role. Right. And I'd like to get a much longer look at ATLUTD for sure. I'd like to continue to get more looks at Will Riley as well. As far as I'm concerned, Anaya Mihai is locked in. He's a mainstay. I want to see more from Barracall and make sure I'm ready to make that call and make that decision. Now, obviously, I don't know what some of the offseason movement looks like in terms of the roster, and I think that obviously will play a role. Are you bring Stian Gregerson back? Is that someone you look to move out of there as well? And if so, who's going to step in his main replacement? There's a lot of questions and discussions to be had, but in terms of the guys that have just been brought in that I really like what they're bringing and want to see more of, Anaya Mihai is right at the top of that list. And then again, I'd like to get a better look at ATLUTD. And by the way, I'd like to get a better look at some of the 2s. And we all know I love Brad Guzan, and I don't know what the plan is for him next year.
Right.
This is a discussion between him and the club. I wouldn't mind seeing Hibbert once or twice down the stretch. I'm not just making a flat out replacement here because Goose is a club legend. He just, he gets to decide, in my opinion, how he goes out. But I'd like to see more of Dom Chonqui. I'd like to see some of these guys that are potentially going to have roles next year. And again, I think getting them acclimated to the difference between what MLS Next Pro and the MLS and what they might see from a physical difference, a speed difference. Again, if at any point you think that they're playing a role next season, it's not a bad idea to get some of their introduction to the league out of the way now. I know Dom Chonqui had a little breath of it earlier. Now he's caught back up and maybe try him again. Again, even if it's just to get some more acclimation to the league, but you've also got to do that continually with Barracall and ATLUTD and some of these other guys. But look, 2 matches ago, Ronnie Dyla said 10 matches, 10 wins, 30 points, you're above the playoff line. It's 10 cup finals. And look, I think that's a great mindset to have. You're now 2 matches gone and 2 losses. Or you may have caught a draw in one of those. But obviously you're not just going to roll off 8 straight wins. I think that's understandable. And so it's okay to admit like what's not going to happen just because mathematically you're not eliminated. Like it's okay to have that discussion internally, externally, from the fan base, from the team, and start to look towards next year and probably what you need to accomplish before the end of this season to give you the best chance next year. And I think those sometimes comes with some of the mainstays being on the bench and some youth being served here. And I'm interested to see if at any point they actually do that.
And you mentioned names in and out and decisions. Derek Williams was announced last week in between the time that you and I last caught up. Derek is now over at Reading. And so that is one less decision that has to be discussed. You're looking at folks like Ronald Hernandez, who's got an option year. Brad is at the end of a contract, no option. Josh Cohen has an option year. Let's see, Jamal has an option year. You're looking at Brooks with an option year, and then getting into your supplementals where Matt Edwards is a homegrown. He's got years. Jay has another option year after this. You mentioned all the younger players. Jaden Hibbert's got another 3 option years after this. And Will Riley's got another 3, same basic contract as Jaden Hibbert. And Cayman Togashi has another option year after this. So the numbers started out at 15 that needed to be figured out at the end of this year going forward. That number obviously is decreasing. So you're looking more and more like, I think it's like 10 or 11 right now because of the egress that you've had so far. So to your point, yeah, this stretch run, you're going to get the best out of it that you can. But yes, you do have to start looking at the contract decisions. And then to your point about Atlanta United too, who is in a playoff race of their own right now, what you're looking at from folks there. And you've seen it with Nick Sessick and a couple of others getting those cups of coffee. So you're getting a lot of, it's like 3-dimensional looks here from the 2s on up, from the players that are homegrowns in, and the folks that have contracts that have to be discussed.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing as you view it for next season is you've got to keep Fortune and Edwards in mind because especially with Jay at the level he was performing at before his injury, but Matt as well was very good up until when he had to be sidelined. And so there is like an odd congestion, certainly in the midfield where Sleesh is absolutely locked in. And then you've got a number of guys that you could, I don't want to say rotate, but at least strongly consider to be running mates in the midfield. So it's going to be interesting there. I think the one thing you do know is that as long as they're here, Latte Lata is going to be up top and Miggy is going to be on the right. And until that changes, you kind of are working around that formation and those 2 players locked in. And so there's a lot of players under discussion and just not a lot of necessarily openings right now. And so, look, you've just got to round out this season with whatever's best for you heading into the offseason. For me, as a fan, I think it's time we understand it. As an analyst, I certainly understand it. Is you got to make the decisions that are going to help you make decisions next year. And if it costs you a regular season performance this year, then so be it, because you have not done enough in the regular season to put yourself in contention down the stretch. And again, the mathematical elimination thing doesn't really, because other teams are adding and it's not there. Like you haven't won a single road game all year. You think you're going to win all 4 of the remaining ones plus all 4 home games and get there. And so I don't know. We just got to be open and honest about it and figure out how whatever happened this year won't happen next year. And it certainly starts with where you're going with your roster. And then it ultimately has to end with how do you finish goals, because you're creating some chances and not finishing goals.
And secondary transfer window, by the way, closes on Thursday. So if anyone in their MLS-ness wants to continue to do transactions of any kind, you have until Thursday to do it. All right, hit the promo for me. I know that it's going to be another go-round on Sunday. Odd start time with Toronto, and I think we're still trying to find you a dance partner for post-game, because I will be attached to the unified match that's coming on after, but we do know pre and post. Hit the promo.
Yeah, excited for it. Back at Mercedes-Benz Stadium here on Sunday. So like you said, an afternoon broadcast. Last Sunday afternoon that anyone will be paying attention to Atlanta United. The NFL is coming. So we'll take our last opportunity to get a Sunday game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium here that people are watching and rooting for. Excited to do it. I think pregame at 2 with kickoff right around 3, a little after 3, and ready to roll on Sunday and looking to see what sort of performance they can put out there.
3 o'clock pre, 4 o'clock kick.
Oh, there you go.
So 3 o'clock pre, 4:10 kick, Apple TV and MLS Season Pass, and then it is the full-time report after with Abe and Analyst X. We'll find out who that is. As always, my friend, great to see you. May your rehab with the calves be what they are, knowing how much you run, and I know how when you're not feeling well with those calves, I know that getting from point A to point B just at normal pace is pretty tough. But you're a braver man than I. That's all I can say.
Yeah, going up the stairs is okay right now. Down the stairs are a real problem. So I'm living that elevator lifestyle until I get back home.
As always, good to see you, my friend. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, John.
All right, there goes Abe Gordon, and yeah, I mean, look, Abe is far better shape than I am. He's got more drive than I do, and it is just that way. And I have seen him in training when things have kind of gone sideways, and it's almost like you're the old school gunfighter walk, from the old movies in the Wild Wild West, where it's just kind of very, very slow and protracted, and having to navigate that while you're training. And this was before the Peachtree. So we will see how Abe continues to navigate that. And as always, it's always great to kick off our week with Abe and our friends at 92.9 The Game. Bart coming up in about a half an hour. We'll go over cards and calls. We'll go over anything else that's on Bart's mind, the return of the Prem, probably discussing low-down dirty cheaters on the British side of things, then getting obviously into VAR review. There were a couple of moments in the Prem that we need to get into, specifically a rule that is 6 years old that I think a lot of folks forgot. I sure as hell did. So that's what we're getting into with Bart coming up at the top of the hour. Okay, opening kickoff. I've waited long enough. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And now that we are here, I can do this. There's your QR code. For those of you hanging out with us here on a Monday, hit that QR code, go to Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. And what you can do, you buy out the store. After you start your day, you kick off your day, you buy out the store. But you can buy out the store at a 15% discount with our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com if you use the code SoccerDownHere15. Use that code, you get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com, take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com for things that they have earmarked as cool. And so we will get that. We'll get into that and kick off your day with them as well. Okay. I could have gone a couple different directions here, but I feel like there is something that I need to kind of ask, and I apologize ahead of time that this is just a question that is for the gentlemen viewers and listeners here. And this is show of hands, and Monday being what Monday traditionally is, the beginning of the week, and you're kind of stumbling around and you're going, hey, I've got to go back to work. I've got to do A, B, C, D, and E to get ready for that. And things just kind of fall apart. I have a question for the gentlemen listeners here. When it comes to those of you who are clean shaven, how do you maintain that? And I ask this way, and I ask it like this, because for me, I have very, very sensitive skin. I mean, literally, if I shaved every day, it would just not go well. So you'll notice there are a couple of days, I'll shave a couple of days a week, straight razor, the whole deal. And the boss has tried to figure out a way to make sure that I don't, carve up my face or do anything, and just trying to find the right razor and all this kind of stuff. So we kind of we kind of settled into a rhythm from an outfit that will send you, it's like you're a member, it's a membership campaign. And what you do is you get a membership, they send you razors, they send you the shaving cream, and they send you, what you need to function every once in a while. It's like every 30, 60, or 90 days. They send you shipments. Because my face is what my face is, I don't shave every day. And if I did, it would be with an electric razor, and the electric razor, me and electric razors, it's just an issue. And so I can't get it right every day. So with this club membership and a straight razor, there is a hazard with it because the razor head is larger than what I'm used to. And so it literally is an inch long razor surface and probably, what's that? Maybe 2 inches wide, an inch high, something like that. And so because of the size of the razor, I can't get everything. Yes, David, it does. The membership does begin with the letter H. It is an ACE membership. So I have started using this razor that is 2 inches wide, an inch high. And it's just, once again, straight razor, but it is a very large head on the razor. It works well, except when you're trying to turn corners and get into small spaces. That is evidence in part and parcel, the full example of which happened this morning. And shortly before, it was like an hour before air, the large razor from the H membership took a big chunk out of my face. And you can go error 404 all you want. Look, I will fall on the sword on this one, literally and figuratively. I literally was trying to get something done. I thought I had enough clearance, and I clearly did not. So I took a large chunk out of my face with this razor before I even could use. What I've started doing is, for mop-up duty, I have the small disposable razors, and I will go in the tighter spaces and do that. My question is really, when it comes to guys and shaving with straight razors, is, am I the clumsiest person out there when it comes to using straight razors because of what it ends up doing to my face? I didn't know if I was the only one out here that was basically missing curves and things like that, and basically carving up my face. And I am the worst shaver known to mankind. That to me is literally, that's how I feel right now, is that I can't get into a Monday and have something like this not happen for a double negative. And my mother's probably screaming and cringing as we go. So I wanted to ask, when it comes to these kinds of things, how you attack it. Are you electric or straight razors? And level of success rate when it comes to, getting what you're trying to accomplish completed without carving up your face. And so, yeah, this morning, literally, this was not a week of great sleep, considering going to Arkansas, and that's kind of like our kicker this morning, and getting through and navigating all of that. Well, I mean, I wish it was. Alex is like, when you say straight razor, are you talking Sweeney Todd or safety? Like the Gillette Good News, the Bic, plastic, really inexpensive razor that you just kind of use, and it's just like, there you go. So no, it is not quite the Sweeney Todd kind of thing. Yeah, it is not. It is not the Demon Barber Sweeney Todd. No, it is not that. It is me and a straight razor, disposable, except for now that I have this membership with the letter H, and it's trying to be better. And like I said, I didn't know if I was just the clumsiest person on the planet. And obviously, 4Card has confirmed that I, in fact, am the clumsiest person on the planet when it comes to razors. And that's not good for someone who spends a life on camera. It really is not, because as much time as I spend on camera, that's why I went with the straight razor, the disposable, which is no longer disposable since I have the H membership. But trying to navigate all of that, get it to where it actually looks like I have, in fact, shaved, because there are times where I'm missing corners and it's just a mess with the electric razor. So, yeah, I just needed confirmation that I am, in fact, the clumsiest person in the world when it comes to shaving. So that's basically it. And then with the guys, I was asking, okay, how do you shave? And obviously, you don't have as many errors as I do, but I just wanted to double check and see where things were when it comes to all of that. So let me get the canvassing of opinions here. David, every other day. Shave before shower, wet face, decent shave, gel, not foam. And yeah, and it is with this H membership that I do have the gel that works on the grill. So yeah, it is literally because even if I do shave every day with this razor with the disposable or the straight, however you want to phrase it, I can't do it every day because once again it'll chew up my face. And so that's why you'll see me on the show sometimes with the Miami Vice growth day 2, but after about day 3 it stops anyway. I swear to God, stops after day 3, doesn't get any worse, it just stops. I don't know what it is. They're daring me to shave and carve up my face, and that happened this morning. Okay, so Emilio is single blade safety razor, old fashioned soap, synthetic shaving brush. Okay, that is very old school. You're far better at it than I. Alex, even though I'm always somewhere on the spectrum from stubble to beard, I do shave my cheeks every day. Old school safety razor, because the blades are cheap. Refuse to spend all that money on cartridges. So 4-card Mach 3 since 1995 and not a single issue. The only issue is when he's tried other types. Okay. But yeah, and for me, literally, I'm all over the place. It could be big, it could be good news, it could be this H membership that I currently have. I'm all over the place. It's like, look, give me something that has the film on the top to where I'm not really carving up my face. Just the gel that helps out, the gel strip on top, and it sits there and helps coat everything. As long as I've got that, then I'm in decent shape. David admitting he's not 100% focused and go fast, cut my face to shreds, slow and focused movement. That's what I tried to do. I mean, David, that's what I tried to do, but literally, as I was trying to get underneath and here to the top of the mustache, literally, I missed it completely, and I just gouged, and so it was all over the place. So I thought I was focused, but it's also very, very early on a Monday morning. Abby has a son who's got an electric, and the hubby has a disposable. Well, and Alex, it's not a straight razor. It's like disposable, I guess, is probably the best way to phrase it. So yeah, it's not like the long L thing like we see in Demon Barber Sweeney Todd. No, it's not quite that. It's not like the thing we see like in the old Wild West movies. I just always thought that is a straight razor. So okay, fine. So yes, disposable is not straight. Yes. David, membership ones are sharper. Need to be careful not to go laterally. Jay Lesniak. Oh, good morning. Welcome, Jay Lesniak. Do not be a stranger. Daily moisturizing is key. Dry skin more likely to be irritated. And yes, Derek, you are absolutely true. It is shaving down here. It is the SDH network. It is shaving down here. You've definitely pegged it right there. Absolutely true. Yeah, Ropes is a shaving expert. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then so Tom, with the head involved, shave it all in the shower. Actually, effective anti-fog mirror was the biggest challenge. Okay. And then Emilio's after the shower. I just like shave first thing in the morning, just because it's there and, I'm getting everything done. And so it was like, okay. So that was me asking if I was clumsy. The answer is yes. Welcome to SDH, shaving down here. That's definitely a +1 for you, Derek. Absolutely true. Well done. Well done on a Monday morning. You're processing things far faster than I am. That's opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code for those of you who are hanging out with us, however you are doing so, large device or small. And once again, you start your day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10%, reinvest at youth games, youth initiatives, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right, so let's get into highlights and post and sound and things like that from the match from the weekend. And it was 1-0 Darren Yappy, who I did not have on the bingo card for, coming through the system with Rapids 2 and doing as well as he has. He seems to have stepped right in as they have sent Georgi Mihailovic to Toronto. We get to see him on Sunday. So his visit with Atlanta United this season has just been pushed back a week. So 1-0 by Darren Yappy, and then all of 90 seconds later, here's your equalizer. Once again, Mike and Jason on the call, courtesy of 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app.
Flick to Gregerson, deep in the play on the right wing. Ahead to Hernandez now in the right attacking third. Center to Moranchuk, top of the arc, takes a touch shot, score! Goal, Lasso! from Russia with love, a long-distance rocket by Alexei Miranchuk to equalize.
Tied at 1 at that point, and so that is the home radio version. And so what we also did is we went and got, I thought we did. Hang on just a second. Did I not upload this? So there's that one, there's that one, there's that one. There's that one. Oh, I guess I didn't. So hang on just a second. We're gonna do some live stuff here. Hang on. Was that one? No, because I think, yeah. Okay, so that is, I thought that I had pulled it. I guess I didn't. All right. Well, so much for that idea. So I had thought that I had pulled the Mark Rogandino and Heath Pierce version, but I guess I haven't. So anyway, that was how it was 1-1. And then Rafa Navajo ends up with a brace. You get your PK and then the brace in short order. And Navajo gets 2 goals in 7 minutes, 64th and 71st. I still have to look at the Bear call contact. You know, if the leg is out, it barely looked like it was any kind of contact to me. And it looked more like there was like falling over the leg than anything else, just kind of working your way around it and falling down. Like, so I'll go back and look. But my initial thought was that it was just something that was fallen over and not fallen down upon the entire time. So is this the, no, that's not it, because that's too short. I think I might have bypassed it. Okay. Well, so much for that. Like I said, I thought I had downloaded the Rogandino and Pierce version from Apple, but I guess I was sadly mistaken. What else is new? Well, no. Wait, there it is. Hang on. It's a da. Actually, I may have it here. Hang on just a second, because you think you load something, and then you're kind of like, well, nah, you load it, and then you don't. So, all right. So it is desktop. Like I said, this is me doing the goals in like real time. This is me producing a show in real time, and I apologize for that. So I thought I'd loaded it, but I didn't. But I'm loading it now, and then we'll play the Mark Rogandino and Heath Pierce version of what happened to tie the match at 1, courtesy of our friends at Apple TV Plus and Major League Soccer.
Lennon with the overlap. Ball will come back inside. Sleesh. Wide for Hernandez. Ranchuk bending it with his foot, and it's 1-1. The lead lasted all of about 90 seconds.
Just look at the quality on the ball, constantly looking around, trying to see where the space is, realizes no pressure on him, knows he can take a lateral touch and just strike this ball through a crowded area where Zach Steffen can't see until it's too late. What a fantastic strike with the left foot. He's got that quality. We've seen it on a few of his final balls in this first half. But to go solo on that one, Zach Steffen left stranded with no chance of making a save there.
There's your Heath Pierce and Mark Rogandino call, since I finally found it on my desktop. There it is, to tie things up at 1, and then the 2 goals from Navajo in 7 minutes. And it ends up with Atlanta United taking it on the chin by 2, 3-1 in Colorado, getting ready now for Sunday afternoon, 4 o'clock, where we're seeing this season, we're seeing Apple TV kind of give you a couple of different choices leading into Sunday night soccer. And so Atlanta United and Toronto is that choice coming into the weekend. Looking at lineups to start, and this goes to a question with Emilio in the rundown, wondering about Noah Cobb. We'll get into that in a second. Starting lineup for Atlanta United: Brad Gazan, left to right, Brooks Lennon, Mihai, Gregerson, and Ronald Hernandez. 2 in front of them, Will Riley and Bart Sleesh. Your 3 midfielders, Saba, Alexei, who had the highest ranking for Atlanta United players in the match, and Miguel. And then you had Latte Lot up top. You had in substitutions, Barakal comes in for Saba in the 58th. Luke, Tristan, and Steven Alzate in a triple change with 17 to go for Ronald, Will, and Miggy. And the Nick Sessick comes in for Brooks Lennon. And that was your subs. But Alexei on the day, it was 90 minutes, had the goal, 59 touches, 82% passing at 37 of 45. You end up with 1 shot on target, had a shot blocked, 3 of 4 on his ground duels, fouled twice, had 1 block, a tackle, and a dribble pass for Alexei Miranchuk. That was the numbers for Alexei, highest rated for Atlanta United on the night. It was a 5-4-1-ish kind of a thing for Chris Armas. Zach Steffen in net, left to right. Murphy, Vines, Maksu, Noah Cobb, Reggie Cannon. 4 in the midfield, Yappy, Laraz, Cole Bassett, and Calvin Harris. And Rafa Navajo ended up with a perfect 10 on SofaScore. I cannot remember the last time I've seen a perfect 10 on a scoring sheet. And Navajo ends up with that, with the 2 goals, the XA at a 1.27, 2 goals and an assist, 2 shots on target, 1 off, 1 block, 5 for 5 on the dribble for Navajo, won the penalty, 46 touches, 12 of 21 passing at 57%, 2 key passes, 3 crosses, all of them connected, 1 for 2 on long balls, 1 big chance created, 12 of 20 on his duels, 7 of 9 on the ground, 5 of 11 in the air. It was fouled once and a total tackle for Navajo, a full night for Rafa Navajo, and he ends up as player of the match with a perfect 10 on the night. To answer your question, Emilio, there are times when players are transferred, and it is in the deal that they're not supposed to play against their loaning club. We see this in tournaments in England a lot, where even in matchups in the Premier League, where you see folks that are loaned out to another club, but it is in the language of the loan that player is not supposed to play against his old club. I do not believe, obviously, with Noah playing, that language was placed in anything involving a loan deal with Atlanta United. So it comes down to the wording of the transfer as to whether or not there is going to be a playing exclusivity when you're going up against your old team. So I think it's fair to say that, and I think Ronnie Dyla had mentioned in one of his press conferences that he didn't think Noah was playing, but the verbiage in the deal, my guess is that it was not anything that excluded him from playing against anyone. So Noah Cobb was in the lineup. And by the way, Noah's numbers on the night, right there, second highest on the back line with Sam Vines behind Maksud at a 6.9. 90 minutes, 5 clears, a block, 3 tackles, 4 for 4 in his ground duels, did not win one in the air, fouled once, 61 touches, 42 of 48 passing at 88%, 2 for 4 on long balls, and that was Noah Cobb's night in Commerce City, Colorado. So that was that's what you were looking at with Noah Cobb as a part of that back 5 for Chris Armas going in a 5-4-1 against Atlanta United. So yeah, and I know that was a question, Emilio, that some folks did have, is that why is Noah playing? I thought he wasn't supposed to, those kinds of things. It's in the language of the deal when you make the deal, that if there is an exclusion, it's in the contract. Apparently there was no such exclusion, and so Noah could play against anybody. Let's see. So yeah, and it does make it awkward. I mean, it does. And it was what it was. And so Noah playing against his old teammates, got a couple of jerseys after the match as well. But obviously the question being this season, and once again, this is a loan option for Colorado. Does Colorado at the end of the year come up with something where they want to turn this into a transaction? Noah for Atlanta United is under contract through next season with an option year for 27. So that's what to keep an eye on when it comes to Noah Cobb and his future. And right now he is making one of the tiers. It's not quite rookie min, but he is making right now, he's $109,000. So he is a navigable contract figure even for Colorado. And that's what you're staring at with Noah Cobb. $109,000 on the books with Atlanta United, contract through next season with an option year for next. And so that's what you were looking at with Atlanta and Colorado, and Victor Rivas in the middle. Bart Keeler's coming up in about 6 minutes to discuss that and a couple of other things and actually give Victor Rivas a compliment. And for those that were watching the Twos match last night or listening to the Twos match last night, it was first 45 seemed to be okay from the middle. And then it was players getting emotional and then just losing control of the 45. It was a very uneven second 45 up at the Fraction last night. Players having to navigate a lot of yellow cards. And I think there were 4 yellow cards issued in the second 30 minutes, actually. I don't think there was a yellow card issued until the 61st in the second half. You had one on each side in the first half. Toto Majoub actually working his way through most of the match with a yellow card. Got the early yellow and navigated through it. Two's review, once again, we'll have Patrick Weah. We'll have the goal from that you'll hear in the show. And post-game from Jose Silva, Patrick Weah, and Toto Majoub. And so that's what you're staring at. Emilio, granted, Mihai just got here. Should I be concerned, or is it more the supporting backs? I mean, it's you're trying to get Mihai integrated. You're trying to get Barakal integrated and trying to figure out, okay, who works well and with what and with whom. And so I know that you're having to do this on the fly in game state. But no, I mean, what we've seen from an Mihai, especially at home, has been someone who has been taking charge at the back. It's been very vocal, been directing traffic a lot. But you will have those moments until everyone is second nature in game state, where you're going to have communication, misunderstandings and things like that. Barakal is one of those physical guys that you bring in. And I look at like I said, I go back to the Montreal matchup to let me know what kind of player Juan Barakal is, where basically Prince Owusu, who had been falling down and trying to draw whatever the entire evening, basically tried to do the same thing with Barakal. Barakal, he bounces off of Barakal. Barakal looks at him and he's like, get up. So Barakal isn't going to take any ish from anybody. I think that's been missing on the back. And then you are looking for integration. And so you have, it's like this, and this is what Abel was talking about earlier here in the show, is that you have this time left this season. You've brought in Leo Afonso, you've brought in an Amy High, you've brought in Juan Barakal, you've brought in Steven Alzate. How do these faces integrate with what Ronnie Dyla wants to do, and how do they integrate with everybody else around, and how did the guys who are here, how are they coming together with the new guys? And so that's what you're looking at. So that's where. And Tom is still looking for an explanation on the deal with Noah Cobb. And I think that where Noah is concerned, what you have done with Atlanta United is, and it's not the first time that this has happened, and you have someone who is of market value, and you can get quality in league Garber bucks, or however you want to phrase it, and it can help you bring in experienced players. It's not the first time that this has happened, where a player has developed for Atlanta United and moved on and helped them out financially to bring in other players. So that's kind of where I'm looking at it with Noah, is that I know that you have folks on the back line at the time that were not as marketable. And so if you are trying to bring in resources and bring in players, then at times you do have to look at your roster and look at, okay, who is marketable, who's the most marketable, and what can I get from that? And you look at someone like Noah, and then Colorado sits there and comes calling, and then you end up with that transaction with Colorado. So, and Tom is saying didn't need to bring in an experienced player, doing fine, should have been a part of the future and a piece to build around. And there is that, there is that school of thought. You're not alone in that assessment. So, but that comes down to what you as a front office and a staff are looking to build going forward. And if you're trying to win and at the same time build for 26, then you're looking at bringing in experienced players to help you out at center back. Because as I have heard from a lot of you all season long, you haven't been happy with the center back pairings. And so you're trying to change things up at center back. And at times, sometimes you have to sacrifice to bring in a position where you have a position of need. So, I mean, that's, like I said, I'm trying to walk through it with you as we're processing it. So, and Derek, I know that there are a lot of folks who, like Abe, an hour number here in this hour, have been like, we'll play the kids, and we're getting to that. You're seeing that, and you're getting minutes out of Matt. You're getting minutes out of Jay. You're getting minutes out of Will Riley. And it is going to be, we got out of Jaden Hibbert too. So you're seeing that as well. It's just, there are times when you feel like you have to make a transaction, and that just happens to be the one that we're talking about. Hour number 2. And it is time to bring in Bart Keeler and the Soccer for US POD, and the low down dirty cheaters that are associated with folks in the Premier League. It's I know that low down dirty cheaters have various identities, and I know that Bart has them in files. Bart, when it comes to your low down dirty cheaters, who is on your list of low down dirty cheaters across the board?
Okay, well, first I'm going to do a quick audio check. Do I sound okay?
Yeah, you sound fine. Yeah, you just
okay.
You sound like that there is no microphone plugged in like normal.
Because unfortunately, no.
Well, that's because, as you said last time you were on, you were going to be in a different environment, and
correct.
That is why there is a logo where your face normally is, as opposed to your face being where your face normally is.
That is correct. All right. So the list of low down dirty cheaters, John,
yes.
it's not very long, but it does mention multiple clubs that love to take advantage of loopholes and possibly make rules that don't exist and only make them apply to them. So obviously, we jokingly talk about Charlotte as low down dirty cheaters. That is obviously more of a reference to the Alabama-Tennessee rivalry, because that's where we're at in the world of American soccer. But on the list of low down dirty cheaters, incorporated, I think, back in 2021, John, when a certain club became real. And it's the club from South Florida that I think we all are aware of, who love to make rules up that only apply to them. And
Messi and Friends.
Other team.
Yes.
Another one that is a little bit older that does fall into the low down dirty cheaters list is Manchester City. And I don't think I need to explain too harshly why they are on that list. But they love to cheat. They love to hide evidence. They love to litigate until it is no longer affordable for those parties litigating them, because they have more money than God himself. And you know what?
So then, aren't they just low down dirty litigators as opposed to low down dirty cheaters?
Well, they cheat and then they litigate, because as we all know in America, you can litigate your way out of wrongdoing if you just continue to litigate. They love to, again, take advantage of certain rules and or not rules that they can manipulate just because they have the money to do so. I think that's a good start of the list of people who I just viscerally react to being cheaters. But that said, I would like for my clubs to maybe take a little bit more advantage of the gray areas and the laws of the game and the rules governing their leagues.
Yes, and so you bring in folks that wish to not take any ish from anybody, and you can kind of straddle the line as best as humanly possible, and not get any cards. So you're not a part of this segment when we discuss things on Mondays. So,
and Luciano Acosta.
Okay. Yeah. I could.
You got to get an actual player on the list, and I think.
Yeah, I can definitely see what you're chasing there as well when it comes to Lucho. Okay, so there were a couple of moments in cards and calls before we get into weekend one of the Premier League, which ends later today for Monday Night Football with Leeds and Everton. There were
That's what everyone wants to see on Monday Night Football: Buffalo versus Cleveland.
Yeah, wow. The folks in the Northeast will, and that might be your audience. There was a play in the Premier League that really raised a lot of the collective eyebrow. And it is a rule, if I'm not mistaken, that is 6 years old that really isn't talked about a lot. And it ended up making its way in the goalless draw with Chelsea and Crystal Palace. And so here's what happened was this. Eze scores in the 13th minute while he's still wearing Crystal Palace jersey because there are conversations with other clubs. We'll get into that in a bit. So he shoots the ball, gets it in the net past Sanchez, but VAR identifies an infringement in the wall, sends the note to the center ref to go to the pitch side monitor. And so the goal after review is wiped off the board. And what the deal is apparently is back in 2019, when the law was changed to state attackers have to be a meter away. What's a meter? 2.2 feet?
A big step.
Okay, so it's a big step. All right, so let me get this straight. So back in 2019, so 6 years ago, law was changed to state attackers must be at least 1 meter away, so a step from a defensive wall of 3 or more players.
Correct.
What?
Yeah, so this is, I don't want to say little known because I think referees are aware of it, but I think a lot of fans wouldn't necessarily see this as something that greatly changed, right? I think we still see in a lot of setups that wall construction from an offensive standpoint that is, yes, it's a meter away, but it's still there. So I think what people are confused by is just because they're not really looking at this as part of the ceremonial free kick procedure because they just see it as, oh, they set up the wall. But yeah, so if you have a wall of more than 3 players, 3 defenders, then the attacking team needs to be at least a meter away from that wall. Now, I don't have a great answer as to why this modification was made to the laws of the game. My best guess, and I think the way that it was kind of interpreted, was a little bit for one or two things. One is a safety issue. You know, obviously putting more people in the wall leads to possibly more people getting hurt, but also because this was kind of a way to remove any handsy play on both sides.
Yeah, I was going to say shenanigans, but yeah.
Yeah, shenanigans of any sort, right? From both sides, which, John, we saw in this free kick, and I do think that is one of the reasons why this particular free kick was called back. Also because maybe Chelsea doing a little bit of getting some love from referees and leagues that they may have bought and paid for. But this was an incident, I think, that you're not gonna. This incident is why we tried to take that whole. You need to have a yard away from the wall because the Crystal Palace attacker just bulldozes a Chelsea player into the wall and does affect the wall. So the reason why I think this VAR review was triggered was because of the gross infringement upon not just this law of the game, but also because it greatly interfered with the result of this free kick.
And there is a still that is up, and traditionally what we do is we use the Dale Johnson column for stuff overseas, and if there's anything in Major League Soccer, then we'll reference it here from our own research. But there's a still where you got a lot of folks that are on the ground in January, and this is a still from a January moment with Bournemouth and Chelsea. And so you had Cucurella into the wall right up against the Bournemouth players, which gives Reece James an opening. And it wasn't ruled out as Cucurella moves into Semenyo and the goal stood because Cucurella's actions did not impact the goal as James's shot goes opposite corner. So it goes away from the play. Cucurella's slamming into the wall is given the okey doke, But what happened with Eze is said, no, that violates this rule, and it is reviewable. The space away from, as it is laid out, the position of an attacking player close to the wall is reviewable. And that's what I'm sure that folks were trying to navigate and go, well, but that's the key, is that the position of an attacking player close to the wall, when it comes to restarts and such, restarts can't be reviewed, but encroachment isn't a restart offense. And so it's the chaos to that.
So basically, that is kind of what they're saying. And I would say that if you had a player in the defensive wall who maybe took a step or 5 forward, because that happens very often, and the referee didn't catch it, I would hope this is something that we can now put underneath that encroachment kind of idea. But also, again, I think what needs to be reminded is that the Premier League has different VAR standards and interpretations and policies than other leagues have. I think we've talked about that almost ad nauseum on this show, where because the Premier League obviously knows better than anyone else who has ever decided to play the game. They have very different standards and levels of involvement that they kind of keep compared to other leagues around the world.
And later down further in the column, there is a still of the moment of impact, or just before the moment of impact in the setup, where you have in front of Mark Gahey, you have 4 Chelsea players and 1 laying down. I'm still team no man behind the wall. I mean, just look, stand up and give your keeper room to move. So you have 4 players in front of Gahey directly, and then you have Chelsea Palace, and then Chelsea. And so literally it's 2 and 2, and then a third Palace player behind. But the interaction of the Chelsea Palace is where the issue was with Eze and Gahey and the players from Chelsea. So it's in that interaction of the second wall off to the side, not directly in front of the net, is what they were saying.
Correct.
Whew, man,
it impacted the result of the game, which is why I think it is getting so much attention, John, because obviously if that goal stands, granted, I think Jason Longshore would take me to task for saying that is the reason that the game ended drawless or scoreless. But, you look at that moment, Crystal Palace scores, they're up 1-0. The game ended 0-0, John. Yeah. So, there is a logical conclusion that did cause Crystal Palace to lose out on 2 extra points.
And so we'll keep an eye on those. We'll keep an eye on those 2 points as we go.
But Jason, I did not say that. I did not say the referee impacted the outcome of the game. I didn't say that.
So we'll keep an eye. We'll keep an eye on that. But it was just a 6-year-old rule that kind of reared its head. And you're kind of going, wait, what?
And again, John, because it's part of that setting up the wall, what we call ceremonial free kick, which is you say, this is where the ball is. You draw the little white circle with the vanishing spray. You go, okay, everyone, we're playing on my whistle. You tell the kicker, don't do anything until I blow my whistle. And then you go, okay, let's step it off. And you do the 10 yards. And you say, wall, you're here. And you go, no, wall, I mean here. No, wall, I mean here. And then you go, okay, the wall is there. And then you got to go set up everything. It just doesn't feel like a separate action because it is involved with all of that setup.
Item number 2. Liverpool and Bournemouth, the possible red for Marcus Senesi.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, this was early on, Liverpool 13th minute. So Senesi basically intercepts the pass, and it looks like he commits a handball that keeps the striker from running through on goal as Mo Salah is trying to play to Ekitike. So ref doesn't spot it, issues a handball to Liverpool's Cody Gakpo. VAR goes back to red for Dogso on Senesi. And we'll get to the Gakpo later, but there's a still that's posted from Getty where Senesi literally looks like he's trying to go just full-blown volleyball dig and keep it away from Ekitike on the through ball. So what happened here?
Yeah. Well, John, I don't know. I think the best explanation that Dale Johnson puts in his article, and this has to be the only explanation, is that the VAR in this situation was so focused on the initial handball when that ball is played through, the defender, he tries to control it with his thigh, with the upper leg. It hits the upper leg, and then it bounces up and hits a non-playable part of the arm.
Right.
But in this case, we do allow that as a natural thing that happens while playing soccer. Unfortunately, despite these players getting paid buckets of money, sometimes they don't control everything perfectly, and the ball's going to maybe ricochet up into their arm, and that's not supposed to be deemed a handball, despite it being a very advantageous situation. So I think the best explanation is VAR was looking at that and then didn't look at the fact that the player clearly tries to reach out and, like a cat swatting a toy, tries to knock the ball away. And that, I think the problem also is that that action isn't seen with, like, you can't see that it actually touched the ball with the naked eye. So that wasn't initially said, oh, we need to review that too. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, but then you get into the whole thing of, well, all right, so is VAR trying to hyper manage this, because if you don't see the initial contact at real speed, then you're going back and you're sitting there and you're trying to do, frame by frame analysis of the whole thing and sit there and go, oh, there was your moment.
Well, and that's what I do have a problem with, is that this was a moment of itself. Does that, like, all of this was not a singular moment, but was a moment, right? Yeah. Yes, there was a singular moment of the miscontrolled ball that then goes off of the arm. Okay, we settle that. But then that was not the end of this phase of play.
Right.
There is a whole nother thing where, the defender tries to stop the ball again. And that, because you could clearly see, in my opinion anyway, on the live action and even on the initial replay, the player tries to swat the ball. I don't think I'm crazy there, John. I mean, it looked like what he was trying to do in live action.
But just because, but then let me get into intent here. But just say that just because you try to take a swipe at your your fish on a hook and you miss, does that mean that you should still be penalized for trying to play with the fish at the end of the hook?
Right. So again, I think it was missed not because he didn't touch it. I think that's the problem, is when you look at it, he makes contact with the ball in this scenario, right? You can, in my opinion, you can see a change of direction or a change of spin on the ball.
Yeah.
It may not be super obvious or change drastically, but you could see. So that's kind of my point, John, is like, you could see him attempt to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you should check that, because in this situation, it would be, in my opinion, a dog's red card, or certainly for this scenario being a handball, that's going to be a red card.
What about having it at literally at the halfway line? I mean, that's not something.
Well, yeah, but in this scenario, John, again, the 4 Ds of dogs, so distance, direction, defenders,
mm-hmm.
and then direction, or a distance, excuse me. We're all kind of met, right? Like the distance to goal at this scenario. Yes, I understand it's halfway, but then you look at, okay, well, he's not like super close, but the distance that the player would have been to the ball would have been pretty. I mean, that's why the player tried to swat the ball away, because the attacker would have been able to control the ball. He's within a playable distance for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There are no other defenders past this. The direction of play is very much headed toward goal. And in this scenario, John, despite what I'm sure Liverpool fans may think of Cody Gakpo's finishing abilities, this is an obvious goal-scoring opportunity with a player of a professional level getting the ball at midfield with no one behind, no other defenders between him and the goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So it's an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. It's what should have happened on that fateful night in Nashville back in 2020, but the MLS referees decided that Nashville deserved some credit there, and I will never not forgive anything about that night, and will continue to say that's where it all went wrong. Jarrett would agree with me, I'm sure. But this is definitely a red card dog so situation, because while I agree we're not like 2 meters from goal,
Right.
you have to ask yourself, well, is this distance right? With all the other factors, this distance is still an obvious goal scoring opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
That's the operative obvious opportunity.
Okay.
Not he will score, because I mean, look, he could very well take a touch, take another touch, and his touch is terrible and it goes right to the goalkeeper. But there is still an obvious goal scoring opportunity. I mean, Tristan Miyamba had an obvious goal scoring opportunity. That doesn't mean that it's going to result in a goal.
Right. So now I have a philosophical question after you give your flowers, since Bart is, yeah.
Oh wait, John, I have one more Premier League thing I got, because we're still there.
Okay.
These referee uniforms, John, are hideous. They are terrible. Not only do the shirts look like they came out there and they're already started sweating, which we know is impossible in England because it never gets above 69 degrees.
Correct.
But it also, the shorts with the white stripes down the side, every American referee right now is screaming because those look like the shorts we are told never, ever, 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 ever wear, John, unless you are the 14-year-old kid who's in his first ever time refereeing because he's wearing his player shorts, and hey, we're just happy you're here. They look so unprofessional, and I won't even get into the fit. They don't look like they fit the referees well. They got water splashes on them. What is going on? They got the running, like, reflective parts around the shoulders. I mean, Puma is a disgrace right now. This is terrible.
Yeah, nothing like trying to make your center F stand out even more.
Oh my goodness, they're bad, John. They're bad. They're bad. They're bad. They're bad.
You wanted to hand out some flowers, and as I mentioned when I was doing the introduction to the show, this has traditionally been a segment where we want to be critical because we want the game to grow. But this is the first time, I think, in Cards and Calls and reffing down here where we have actually given check marks and check pluses and silver stars at the top of the test. I mean, what the heck happened here?
So, first off, unfortunately, this goes against our beloved Atlanta United. But the third goal that Colorado scores is a great example of a referee doing both a wait and see and advantage scenario, right? I think it's fair to say that was it Mihai or was it Barakal who fouls the Colorado attacker coming into the box?
Barakal was the one.
Barakal, yeah. It very much looks like it's a foul, even to the point where maybe not clear cut, but as a referee, what Victor Ribas does here is he goes, "Oh, that is an action that I need to be aware of." I don't know if he thought it was a foul or not. We don't know for sure. But he then saw that ball after that contact go directly to an attacking player inside the penalty area in a very advantageous situation. So he waited waited to see what happened. Eventually ends up calling, like, not fully playing advantage because that's not what we have to do here, but he lets the advantage play out. He says, "Oh, Colorado is still in an attacking phase here. They still have possession of the ball. They're still within the penalty area." And obviously Colorado then scores. And look, we can all hate on Brad Guzan when that time comes, but caught everyone by surprise, I think is fair to say. Mm-hmm. This was a very good piece of refereeing when it comes to the wait and see approach, just going, I think I saw something. Let's see how this plays out, or let's see what happens here. But he said, okay, well, I'm not going to just blow the whistle because I saw a foul. Allowed the ball to run, sees that there's an advantage. Obviously, that advantage ends in a goal. And that's good refereeing and a great example of why, as soccer referees, we don't run around with the whistle in our mouths. In basketball, that's a foul, right?
Yep.
It's a foul. In soccer, we get a goal out of it.
Mm-hmm. So my philosophy,
it just unfortunately was against our beloved.
Yes, beloved. Yes. So my question for you philosophically this morning is, how difficult is it to be consistent over 90 minutes on the norm? Because you could have a match be what you navigate, and everything is fine, and you've set your boundaries and you've set your pacing, and everybody knows what to expect. And then if in the second 45 emotions get heated and your emotions as center ref get elevated in that, and you get kind of caught up in that instead of trying to navigate the pacing that you set in the first 45, how difficult is it to stay within yourself and the parameters that you have set in a match? Just in general terms, how difficult is it to stay consistent and level-headed over a 90-minute period with your philosophy that you set up in a match?
Well, I think there are two different things, John. And I'm going to say that you shouldn't be consistent throughout 90 minutes because the match is going to change. Therefore, you're going to have to change your approach, right? As you just said, first 45 minutes, everyone's friends. They're making flower crowns. They're holding hands. We're having a great time. Something happens at the locker room in halftime, and all of a sudden they come out, and now they're saying, well, somehow they brought a knife to a gunfight, and some dude's got an AK-47 on the other side, and one dude's over there, launching hand grenades. Well, yeah, we got to change our approach, John. Right. So consistency, though, about our mindset, about our level-headedness, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I can't be level-headed when guys are launching nukes at each other. Mm-hmm. We need to say, whoa, 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 whoa. Now, you are supposed to be an independent mediator. You're supposed to be a fair adjudicator. And that's what you have to keep that mindset of, I'm here to make sure this game is played in a fair manner, fair and safe. That's our goal, right? Obviously, if you want to be level-headed, you want to be neutral, you want to be calm, cool, collected. And that is the goal. But even still, you can't always be calm, cool, collected when major incidents break out, because you kind of need to raise your energy level to match what's going on. Otherwise, these guys are going to run the match themselves. And so I get what you're trying to ask, but the reality is no match is played under perfect conditions. Right? Be it 93 degrees and 100 million% humidity, or we've got the two biggest rivals in the world going off against each other, and we know that someone's about to throw a punch from the first time we, blow a whistle.
Right.
You have to be aware of what's going around. So I would just say that you need to be aware, you need to be proactive, and you need to be fair. Mm-hmm. Again, we want fair and safe games. So I get what you're trying to ask, but again, if your goal is to be fair and safe, then I think the consistency will be there because you are still trying to call a game in a way that it needs to be called. But I mean, again, over 90 minutes, it's really tough. And in fact, I worked with a referee. His name's Brian. He's a really good referee. I've learned a lot from him. And he always said there's three phases of a match. There's setting the tempo, mm-hmm. and then there's adjusting the tempo, and then there's maintaining the tempo. So you want to come out there in the first third of the match, maybe not third, but maybe 10 minutes, right? And go, depending on how long your match is.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the match I want to see called. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. Okay, well, within 5 minutes, you may realize, oh, these guys aren't playing the way that I want to play, that I want to see them play. And that happens a lot of times. They're, especially at my level, I'll use that because I think it allows for a little bit more variance. Unfortunately, every U14 match is not going to play out the same. It's just not. Sometimes they come out and the guys are, especially the guys, the girls, because they are mature people at that point. The guys come out and, they forget that the goal of the day is to play soccer. And, there's things that are going on, like they're using their hands too much. They're not really focused on, let me win the ball. They're focused about running the guy over. And I got to go, whoa, 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 whoa. That's not what we're here to play soccer. We're here to play soccer. We're not here to try to play bumper cars, right? And so while I may come into the match saying, this is what I want to see, I want to be on this and this and this, 5-10 minutes into the match, I may go, oof, all right, I got to adjust my perspective, my tempo, my control. And again, it's adjusting to what the match is going. I may need to go a little harder. I may need to be a little softer. Mm-hmm. I may just need to go, well, this is how they want to play, so I got to adjust and say, well, if that's how they're going to do it and they're fine with it, then they're fine with it. That's what they want to do. Or I might go, well, it seems like, we're causing problems. There's safety issues. I need to be a little more proactive in calling fouls. So that's kind of that middle. I don't want to say third, but like the third phase of the second phase of the match, I should say, that middle third.
Yeah.
And then you have at the end, you're either maintaining your tempo or you're tightening it depending on what the match wants out of you. So ideally, you've set that standard and you go, this is what we're doing now. We got it all. We're going to keep it the rest of the match. Again, sometimes that doesn't happen. But you want to just maintain your control over the match then. And it's hard. Those last 10 minutes are tough, John, because you're a little tired. You've been running around for 90 minutes. Some dude's pissed off because the other dude did something or said something about his mom, 25 minutes ago, and it's still in the back of their mind. It's hard. And so consistency, again, is more about being fair and safe, not about the call from the first minute is the same as the call from the 90th minute.
How hard is it to be consistent within the rhythm of a match with the personality that the match has, and you're as a ref adjusting to it? Because there are matches where, first 45, everything's there, everything's managed, everyone knows the pacing, the pacing as a center ref, and then the game kind of gets away from you. How hard is it to once a ref has lost control of a match, emotionally, what have you? How difficult is it for that ref to reclaim and get back under control, or once a match is gone, are you chasing at that point?
Yeah, I mean, again, that's why we try to think of it as, okay, how do I respond to what's going on? Because you're right, it's hard to maintain full control. It's hard to, again, these guys out there at the professional level, John, are making a lot more money than the referees are. And while the referees, I will say, are mostly in very good shape, they're not training 2 hours a day plus then fitness training every day to be the most elite athlete in the world. And I'm sure they're tracking their diet, but they're probably not. They probably don't have a team dietitian preparing them breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. So, when you're out there running around keeping up with all these guys, it is hard because you may not feel the match getting out of hand the way that we on TV might see it.
Right.
And so when you're right there in the thick of it, sometimes you go, I feel good when you talk about I'm keeping up with the pace of play. I feel like I'm talking to the players decently. Yeah, they're a little disrespectful, and yeah, there's some fouls flying, but like you may not see it the way that on TV we see it. So I think that's kind of the problem, is sometimes you're in there and you're going, I don't know, it feels fine to me. But also I think one of the things that referees need to do better at, and I think one of the things that some of the best referees that we've seen have is they have a personality and they know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
They're not changing that necessarily. Now you may alter it. Again, when we are people in a workplace, okay, John, you know who your personality is. You know how you act, how you talk, how you like to work. You would like to say that's going to be the same, right?
Yeah.
Every day you show up to work.
Right.
Sometimes though, it doesn't, right? I mean, and so you have to be a little bit reactive to the people you're working with. But the number one thing I try to tell young referees is be confident in yourself, be confident in who you are, and you just have to be yourself out there. Because my way of controlling the match is how I control the match. I cannot control the match like John Freeman, not you, but John Freeman. I control the match. We're two different people. Right. I can't control the match the way, well, a little bit I do, like Philip Dudish does. I won't argue with that.
However,
I like his style. But Philip Dudish and I are not the same referee. Mm-hmm. We're not going to have the same approach. So you just have to be confident in who you are, and you have to really dig into those interpersonal communication skills that hopefully you've developed to lean on those to help mitigate any problems. But it is hard, John, because again, sometimes we don't see that it's a little out of hand, because you're like, what are you talking about? I feel fine. I'm good.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, sometimes it just isn't.
And that's kind of what I was getting into. So what's the latest with Soccer for US POD, and what else is going on in the Soccer for US POD verse?
Well, our goal, obviously, I'm traveling today, John. I'll be flying out of Raleigh. Nice airport, by the way. I don't know if you've flown in here recently. Very nice airport.
Yeah.
I'll be flying home tonight, and then so I think our goal is to record either tomorrow or Wednesday. And while, yes, the European leagues have kind of started, we are looking at key players, USMNT players, and how their European season needs to be, look, we got a World Cup at home coming up at the end of next year, or the end of this upcoming season, I should say. And our goal is to try to look at these players and say, okay, what do they need to do to make the USMNT more competitive come next summer? Which, John, might be tough.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot, as always. Hopefully you've enjoyed your time up there in the research triangle, and just
I've done a lot of research, John. I feel like much smarter. Somehow just being close to Duke and UNC have made me a supremely more cocky person. I don't know how that works out with these two programs.
Just kind of rubs off on everybody. So
no shade, but
no,
I did go to school here, and I know how those two fan bases love to act.
Yes, and I figured you would be adding Pitt to your list of low down dirty cheaters, but that's just me.
Well, they're just low down and dirty. They don't have to cheat. They're just they're despicable.
Thank you.
They're in that Orlando category.
Okay, all right. It is a default when it comes to Pitt. Just be safe getting home, my friend. We'll catch up with you next time, and when you're back here.
All right. Y'all have a wonderful Monday.
There you go. There goes Bart Keeler from the Soccer for US POD, and it is. Listen, like, subscribe, buy the man a coffee, all the things. And he is our voice of national team stuff. He's our voice of everything going on when it comes to cards and calls and what folks might be looking at in certain situations and all of that. So that's the larger point that we like to get across in all of these discussions that we have on a weekly basis. Okay, what are they seeing? What are they processing? What's the rule? And how is it being reinforced, implemented, projected, all of those things. So that's why we walk through calls that we sit there and we go, oh, hey, well, what about this? And then you get a quirk like we had with the law from 2019 about proximity to walls with players and things. And so it's just stuff that we need to be reminded about on a weekly basis where, okay, refs handle things in certain ways and manners. And it's like, okay, so what was that ref seeing there? What were they seeing there? All of that. So it's just to kind of look at it as almost like a defensive driving course when it comes to everything that we see involving the folks with the whistles and the cards on a weekly basis. And so, well, what did they see here? What do we need to see here? That kind of stuff. So that's why we have enlisted Bart to kind of walk us through these things every single week, and agree, disagree, what have you. That's kind of where we are with all of this. So let's say hi to everybody. Let's say hi to everybody and go through the rest of the promos and all the things that you need to know to help out. And we have our moment of cool also here this morning to catch you up on from the weekend. Morning, Alex. Morning, David. Morning, Derek. Morning, Abby. Abby is packing the Abstermobile to come back where it's cooler. Welcome back. Abby and Ropes, good morning. Morning, Lokeville. Morning, Abby. Morning, Alex. Morning, Four Card. And let's see. Morning, Emilio. Morning, David. And thank you once again for reinforcing the fact that I'm a klutz. Let's see. I'm trying to see who else we might have here. Oh, yes, Jay Lesniak, once again. Good morning, Jay Lesniak. Do not be a stranger and tell everybody that we're here. Derek, absolutely true on shaving down here. It's the SDH network. Absolutely true. Morning, Tom. Welcome back. And Tom with the public service announcement. Second goal by Espanyol over ATLUTD. Thiago and Johnny Cardoso, and the winner was a massive, awesome header. So keep an eye on that, and especially on Johnny, too, which is where Bart comes into play. Morning, Wiley. Let's see. Who else is here that I might not have mentioned earlier? I think that's everybody. I think that is everybody. And here's the public service by Tom, by the way, to go and watch the goal. It's over at the 4-letter. And you can go and be caught up on Español and Atlético de Madrid and some guy named Thiago Almada. So other things that are a part of the SDH universe. Once again, you go to Olive, New York, you get our first ever jersey, big floppy collar, navy, and Kaiser Permanente. We could not do a lot of what we do here without them. They're on the front of the jersey. And you can either have your personalization in white, or with the navy, you can do it in a lighter blue, the Columbia blue, the double blue, the Argo blue, Tar Heel blue, whatever you want to call it. Personalization's up to you. Catch up with Alex and Abby and figure out which one might be best for you. Or you could be, I think, like a lot of folks and just gone ahead and purchase both. Helps out our Soccer for Good campaign. And you get to see how it fits with Greg Garza on his Instagram account, Beyond Goals Mentoring on one sleeve, Soccer for Good on the other. And you have Maddie and Sophia and Greg modeling the jersey. So there is that. You can be a Fanatico for $10 a year. And what can you do for $10 a year? You really can help out folks, and you get a lot of cool discounts. You get to be a part of our Fanaticos program. And with that, you get a lot of cool discounts. And that is also a part of our Soccer for Good campaign. By being a Fanatico, it gets you into the Chant app, and you can hang out with a lot of other fellow fans and be a part of everything in that universe. And I think I misspelled down here /join. I think I got that right. So there we go. Atlanta United. There it is. Our Fanaticos, soccer.chant.fan /soccer down here /join. And let's see. So let me see if I can dial up the Chant app and have it behave. There we go. So there's the Chant app in all of its glory right there. For those on the video side of things, you get all of your notations, you get all your discounts, a lot of cool places, and we're adding more to help be a part of everything. And once again, helps out our Soccer for Good campaign here in 2025. That is kind of what we're staring at with that. So once again, soccer.chant.fan /soccer down here. No, it's group.chant.fan. Sorry, my bad. Let me pull that back. Hang on. Do I have an edit? Crap. Group.chant.fan. I knew this is Monday morning. Group.chant.fan /soccer down here /join. Sorry, group.chant.fan, because it's whatever group it is. It's not just soccer, it's group. It is a soccer group, but it's group.chant.fan /soccer down here /join. So $10 a year, a lot of cool discounts, a lot of the breweries that we have great relationships with, Lloyd's Soccer Shop on selected Atlanta United gear, catering up in outside of Northeast Atlanta, up in Gwinnett County and such. You've got Chateau Arenal in Costa Rica. You got a discount. You get a code if you're a Fanatico and you want to go spend some time at Chateau Arenal in Costa Rica. You can do that there as well. I'm trying to think of the like pubs and the Moxie Hotel. You get drink and food discounts, those kinds of things. Once again, helps out our Soccer for Good campaign here in 2025. Grady Baby Co. You can get the T-shirt. You can get the sweatshirt. It is red, it is black, it is gold embossed lettering that says soccer's just better in Atlanta. That is a program that we have that helps out middle school soccer programs attached to the Atlanta Public School System when you get your Grady Baby gear. Soccer, the SDH Network logo on one cuff, Grady Baby logo on the other cuff. Once again, red and black. I have to wear the red stuff because the boss cannot. And so she pawns it off as garnet, even though it isn't. So, yeah, she cannot wear red. She tells me it's garnet. I sit there and go, okay, and then I wear the red stuff. So you can get T-shirts, sweatshirts. Soccer's just better in Atlanta from our friends at Grady Baby and Grady Baby Co. You can go to soccerdownhere.net, and you can get all of our gear, by the way. And you can get the hats and the T-shirts and the stickers and the koozies and the not Tervis tumblers, but the warm coffee keepers. You can get those. And you can also get gear from the Attack and the Ruckus that Jason has retrified, and you can help out there. Once again, you can get the gear, you show us off, and everybody shows off your support for the SDH Network by doing it there as well. Soccerdownhere.net. You can go to the shop, and you can get all of our stuff there. Let's see. What else have I missed? Oh, Fanatis. fntz.co /soccer down here. You get to find out what's going on in the world of our buddy Nino Torres at Gold TV. Liga 1 Max Pro. You get to see Santi Sosa in the LPF at Rossing. You get to see Luis Abram at Sporting Cristal. You get to see a lot of the activity in South America and Central America. All the BNs, which gets you into AFCON, and it is Tigo Sports and Canal 4 and a lot of other things there that are attached to that. And you can, let me see if I can get it right. All the BNs, CDO, Nuestra Tele, For the Fans, Liga 1 Max Pro, Gol TV in Espanol, Tigo Sports, Canal 4 CATV. I think that's just the start. I know I'm missing somebody, but those are the great places that you can go and continue to add to your degenerative viewing habits when it comes to soccer at Fanatics at ftz.co/soccer down here. Well, South America going full bore. You've got Sudamericana, you've got Libertadores. You can watch those as well. It's added packages that are part of it. They've added TVV recently, so you can get that attached to what's going on in Colombia, and a lot of stuff at Fanatics. And so literally I camp out there on the weekends. You go from what happens in Europe, you work your way over here to the Americas, and so it just kind of comes full circle. But you help out the network, you help out Fanatics, and you help out yourself as well with all the viewing that you have going on. Once again, ftz.co/soccer down here. And I'm trying to think, is there any place else that I have missed? Oh, yes. There is one place that I have missed, but I have missed it on purpose because we had a really cool moment on the weekend. And for those of you that might have followed along on our social media, here's my travel schedule. So this is where it all kind of blends together with American high school football and soccer right now. So it's like between now and the end of October, early November, or whenever the championship is, it is a mix of both of those sports here in one place. So we had our first stream game of the year at GPB on Friday night. It was a downpour. So the game got pushed back because of all the thunder and the lightning, 2 hours. And it was done in like 2.5. So the game's over at midnight. Lambert and Mill Creek. So I'm leaving Mill Creek, which is north of the Mall of Georgia, up 85. And I drive to a hotel that I traditionally stay at in just south of Chattanooga, because I was taking the first flight out of Chattanooga to go to Northwest Arkansas for the Outrigger Challenge Cup involving Turks and Caicos, U.S. Virgin Islands, Ozark United U19s, and our friends from the Marshall Islands. So get to the hotel about 2, fall asleep about 2:30, alarm goes off at 4. I did not lose my ring this time, David. It's upstairs in the holding bin when the show is over and I'm walking out the door. Did not lose my ring this time. And so 90-minute nap, head to the airport, check in before the sun's rising, leave Chattanooga, fly down to Hartsfield, layover, turn around about an hour and a half, and then fly out to Northwest Arkansas. Was there Saturday for the second match for the Marshall Islands, and you can read the write-up at soccerdownhere.net. We've got post-game from the match in and of itself. It was a back-and-forth 3-2 match with Turks and Caicos, and the Marshall Islands folks really showed what they have been able to piece together in a very short period of time. Thursday night, they lose to the U.S. Virgin Islands 4-0 in Springdale, Arkansas. Saturday afternoon, they come back, they're down 2-0, and you're thinking, okay, is it going to be kind of the same thing? The answer is no. Here's the call of a piece of history from Springdale, Arkansas from the weekend, and thanks to our friends at Spideo and our friends at RMI.
Broken whip up here. He will instead square it back for Ediger. A little bit of possession here for the Marshallese. Phelan, nice turn. Pat Phelan able to open up a little bit of space. Blanton laying it off along the left. Back it goes. Josiah Blanton could be in. A moment of Marshallese magic. At long last, a goal for the Marshall Islands. A goal for all the Marshall Islands. And it's 2-1 in the 27th minute.
So it gets to 2-1 at that point, and then it was the speed of the Turks and Caicos as a club. Literally what they want to do, they want to press in their attacking half. They want to create short fields. They want to get around you. They want to shoot. Turks and Caicos did the same thing. 3 goals in transition. They're up 3-1. Then, second half, goal is scored 3-2. And literally the last 15, 20 minutes was Turks and Caicos hanging on. Marshall Islands lose 3-2 to the Turks and Caicos. Our friend John Arnold over at Getting CONCACAF, when he watched the match, he saw the Marshall Islands play in this, their second match ever, and he said, look, there are teams in Group C in CONCACAF Nations League that they could hang with right now. And you had a really close match the second time around, and so now it's what you do with the momentum that you have. And so you can listen to the post-match. We've got post-match from a lot of different folks. The 3-man brain trust behind the coaching and all the marketing and everything. It's Lloyd Owers. It is Matt Webb. It's Justin Wally. Then you hear from them. You get to hear from one of the moms who had twins playing on the team. And it was a really cool experience to see history the way that it was this past weekend. So that is one of the things that is really cool about this sport and how it grows. And so now it is up to, and they've even gotten their first ever ranking. After 2 matches, they're like in the 230s. So what? They're ranked. And you had that moment for them. Now, how do you carry it forward? I guess now they continue talks with Oceania and find out what's going on. Hey, how do we get certified? What do we need to make sure that we get a check mark from you, or shoot, even CONCACAF, considering that, as Greenland was trying to get into CONCACAF because nobody in Europe wants to pay attention to them. And I think CONCACAF is missing a great opportunity here, by the way. That with the concentration of Marshallese population that is there in Northwest Arkansas, Eastern Oklahoma, and in that section of the United States, second largest concentration of Marshallese personnel population, short of the island chain itself, is right there. So it makes sense to apply to Victor Montaliani and to Oceania as well. So Oceania, CONCACAF, heads up. That's the next step in trying to figure that out and how to continue this momentum over the next year when it comes to what you're seeing from them. And they made that point to the players after the match as well. But got to Springdale, Arkansas in time to see that. Came back yesterday and got back to Kennesaw just in time to see the twos. And it was a matchup against Crown Legacy, where it was massively important for the twos to keep the beat so they could stay in the playoff hunt. Match was back and forth, and it was chippy at points, and you had folks that were going in. There was a lot of hard tackles. Of course, it's Atlanta and Charlotte. It's the twos and Crown Legacy. Not really a surprise. So you get to the 83rd minute. Here's what happened at the Fraction last night here on the SDH Network. Maddie and Jason on the call.
Played long. Tried to be settled by Berchimas, but eventually taken away. Cooper Sanchez. Good ball from Cooper to find Wiese. Wiese, edge of the 18, into the 18. Cut back to Wea! Goal! 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 Atlanta United 2, Cooper Sanchez, Gabriel Wiese, Patrick Wea, 1-0.
Patrick Wea doing a little dance after that one, and as he should. The build-up to that is perfect. It's Majoub who's able to help Sanchez get the opportunity. Sanchez sees that Gabriel Wiese making the run in. It's a beautiful ball from Sanchez. And then Wiese, that connection between him and Patrick Wea, that's something that extends off of the field. It comes in full tuition here on the field, and it's a perfectly placed ball to Patrick Wea. Makes it 1-0 for Atlanta United.
The ball from Cooper Sanchez was brilliant to jumpstart the attack. And you mentioned the connection with Wiese and Wea. Wiese got into the 18, got his head up, and Wea had pulled off of the 2 center backs, and Wiese knew exactly where he was going. Cut it back to him inside of the right foot. Patrick Wea gives Atlanta United to the 1-0 lead in the 79th minute.
and they hang on from there. Once again, a big win for Atlanta United 2 to keep the beat in the Eastern Conference. And just so you know where things stand in the East, with the twos right now in the Eastern Conference, the race to get in the Eastern Conference is what we're looking at when it comes to the tail end here of the season. Twos review will be up here in just a little bit once we go off the air. We'll piece it together. You'll hear post from Toto Maju, Patrick Weah. You'll hear the highlights. You get the standings and all of that. So here's how it lays out right now in the Eastern Conference for MLS Next Pro. Next matchup for Atlanta United 2, by the way, in Osceola Heritage Park, taking on OCB Saturday night. And so we'll have that one for you on the network as well. So here's the Eastern Conference, just so you know where things are in the East. Red Bulls 2 points higher than Huntsville City Football Club. Huntsville City is coming here at the end of the month. They're here on the 30th. So Atlanta, first team is in Nashville. Same time, earlier start time. It'll be the start of the second half, I think, when Atlanta United 2 is taking on Huntsville City when the first team starts in Nashville. So you've got that going on the 30th, by the way. So Red Bulls 2 points clear of Huntsville City Football Club. Hunt City's got a match in hand. Union 2 at 42, Fire 2 at 41, Revs 2 at 38. Same number of wins as Chattanooga. They have 2 matches in hand, meaning the Revs, and a far superior goal difference. They have a 10-goal difference in the positive when it comes to goal difference. Toronto FC 2 is at 31. NYCFC 2 is at 29. They have 2 more wins than FC Cincinnati 2. That's why NYCFC 2 is in the playoffs as the 8 right now, and FC Cincinnati 2 is out of the playoffs right now at 29 points. Orlando City B's at 27. 2 more wins than Carolina Core. That's 10 and 11. Crown Legacy, with the loss last night, they're at 26 points, 22 matches. Atlanta United 2 matches in hand with everyone who is above them short of FC Cincinnati. So if Atlanta United wins their 2 matches in hand, they would be at 31 points. They would be in the playoffs at the 8th spot because it would be 2 wins, and they would be 2 wins behind Toronto. So 2 wins right now, they would be in the playoffs as the 8th seed. But right now, Atlanta United 2, 25 points, 2 matches in hand, heading to Orlando this weekend. We'll catch up with Jose Silva later in the week, and that'll be on the pregame show from Orlando. Messi and Friends 2, they are in 14th at 22 points, and Crew 2, they are at 17 points through 21 matches, 4-13, 4-1, and a goal difference this season of -20. So that's where Atlanta United 2 is right now, and that's the race that they are getting into when it comes to the postseason for the first time ever in MLS Next Pro. Okay. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Obviously, what you've got to get into today is the tail end of week number 1 in the Premier League. We'll get into that tomorrow. Casey White's going to join us. She'll bat leadoff. She's going to talk a little bit about Columbus and Toronto. She's going to talk NWSL. She's going to talk college because she and Jen Hildreth were at Florida State and Florida, and the Lowdown Dirty Cheaters at the University of South Georgia Gainesville campus, taking on my beloved and angelic Florida State University soccer team. So we'll get into that tomorrow with KCD, and we'll start our focus or our graduate level class when it comes to multi-club ownership, just because of everything that we have experienced and seen with one multi-club owner. We kind of wanted to examine MCOs themselves and kind of go into our deep dive section. So it'll be like our graduate level class when it comes to multi-club ownership. We'll start that tomorrow as well, if all of the satellites and the timing works and all this kind of stuff to get that done. That'll be in hour number 2 tomorrow. So our big MCO discussions start tomorrow if technology behaves going over the Atlantic Ocean. So that's kind of where we are with that. So that's tomorrow here on the network starting at 9:05 Eastern. So what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Ligue 2, Le Mans and Montpellier is at 2:45 on BN. BN and Espanol is simulcasting. Leeds and Everton is at 3. That is on USA. ESPN Deportes has La Liga, Elche, and Real Betis. German Cup is on the Plus, 2 at noon, 1 at 2:45. Rot-Weiss Essen, could they knock off Borussia Dortmund? And then you end up with La Liga at 3 o'clock. CBS Sports Network, NWSL Seattle and Chicago, that is at 10 o'clock, and that is later tonight. And so once again, Johnny and his Atletico de Madrid debut gets his flowers from Diego Simeone. Tom Russo has posted said goal, has posted the clip to the last goal that was scored in the Espanol Atletico de Madrid match. So that is your requested short viewing for today's, checking out the highlights of that particular matchup. So you got that going on. All right, so let's check the tour of everything going on, transfers and stuff. Remember, transfers overseas in England go until the end of the month. And so you end up with keeping an eye on the window overseas. And there's some stuff that our friend Ben Jacobs came in with this morning to kind of keep an eye on things, and your fantasy teams too, because, you know, God knows I started folks in fantasy this week that are probably not going to be with the teams that they sat. Johan Visa has unfollowed Brentford, changed his profile picture to black, and removed all club photos from his Instagram account as he looks to leave the club. That'll get there. That'll make it happen. Visa's moved to Newcastle, currently being blocked by Brentford, as revealed by Alex Crook. Unhappy, Brentford will now engage over a sale unless a £60 million+ valuation is met, despite informing Visa a few weeks ago they would entertain a sale. Visa was also told a year ago he could leave for $26 million after committing to last season following Ivan Toney's departure to Al-Ahly. Brentford insists Dango Ouattara is a Bumo replacement, and for a Visa exit to happen, another forward must be added as well as their high valuation is met. Bilal El Khanous has told Leicester City he wants to join Crystal Palace. Leicester won around $30 million. Relegation release clause has expired. El Khanous is viewed as a replacement for Eberici Eze for Crystal Palace. And Newcastle set to resume talks. But once again, Visa now pushing for an exit. Keep an eye on that. Understand links with Chelsea and Bastoni wide of the mark. That's Ben's favorite phrase for saying not quite happening yet. Cristianos Uche is an option for Wolves. Nothing more at this stage. The attacking midfielder is appreciated. Wolves have other priority positions, first focused on between now and the end of the window. Leeds have opened talks with Noah Okafor last week. Discussions continuing over the weekend. Keen to add another attacker before the window shuts. Nothing agreed with Milan yet. Talks expected to continue. Leeds have made progress, and there is optimism that a deal can be completed this week. Also on the board, more on Ben Doak, who looks like he's going to be joining Bournemouth for a £25 million package. Liverpool have a buyback, and as a rule, according to Jacobs, these tend to be agreed at least double the transfer fee. Buyback includes because Liverpool think Doak has elite potential and regular first-team starts could see them return to him in the future. Bournemouth beat off competition from Porto. Everton also showed interest, no offer. Liverpool would have had no issues selling Doak to Everton at all. Jadon Sancho has decided not to accept Roma's offer as he continues to search for a new club. £20 million bid made to Manchester United. Sancho is convinced other options will materialize before the window shuts in 13 days. Nottingham Forest has agreed to Arnaud Calamawendo, joining from Rennes, 5 years, $26 million. And we do have the photo of Calamawendo looking straight into the lens and the table. Not looking at the paper, not signing the paper, nothing going on. And literally, I think the piece of paper is straight. So literally straight north and south. Calamawendo, his picture is like this. So he's trying to sign a piece of paper that the pen's not touching and probably needs to be tilted so Calamawendo can sign it. And keep an eye on that. Jed Spence signed a new long-term contract with Spurs. Excellent form following his return, a loan spell with Genoa in 23-24. And we mentioned Visa. This one we got to keep an eye on. West Ham Vice Chair Karen Brady tells TalkSport she expects Lucas Paquetá to stay at the club. I think he wants to stay. We definitely want him to stay. So the thing is, he'll be staying. She also gave confidence to Graham Potter out of the blocks. after their results on the weekend, Potter has already gotten the dreaded vote of confidence at West Ham after only one match. Sunderland getting 3 on the board, West Ham getting none. Morningdale, Charleston came from behind apparently to beat the Riverhounds at Highmark, and Bob Lilly is probably still yelling. We'll see if there's anything going on domestically. Remember that the domestic window ends Thursday. So if anybody's going to be making moves, you got to do it between now and Thursday. Lexington SC finalizing a deal to sign longtime MLS midfielder Latif Blessing. How's that? Blessing, 28 as 214 regular season appearances in Major League Soccer. Spent last year with Houston and Toronto. Minnesota United nearing a deal to sign Austrian attacking midfielder Dominic Fitz from Austria Vienna. Hoyte was first with that, 13 and 16 in just under 3,000 minutes last year, 4 + 5 in 600 minutes this year. Don't know about the roster designation. If he goes to the Loons, could be a TAM, could be a DP. U.S. Y&T midfielder Adrian Gill signed a one-year deal with Barca B. Mundo Deportivo, first to report that. 19. He's been with Barca's famed academy since 2018. Then Turgeman and Maccabi Tel Aviv, not done but close. $5.5 million bid submitted, not officially accepted. All parties hopeful. Player gave the green light in personal terms. And so that's where we are with the updates on the things. So tomorrow, once again, remember, we are going to be going over everything NWSL, college, Columbus and Toronto with KCD. Casey White's going to join us early, and we'll start our breakdown of everything. And we all learn together, as Jarrett says. Let's learn together. So we're going to learn together tomorrow if technology happens, and we'll have an interview on tape, and we'll start our coverage of MCOs and all of the news that's associated with all of that, considering how Atlanta United has been directly affected by someone who operates or operated an NCO. I think he still does. I think it's 2 or 3 clubs. But with Atlanta United's involvement in MCOs, we thought it might be important just to kind of take a deep dive and understand the inner goings, the machinations, all of the weaving, all the things to make sure that we all know what is coming when it comes to American clubs interacting with multi-club ownerships around the world. So we start that tomorrow, technology permitting, and that'll be in hour number 2. Thanks to Bart, as always. Thanks to Abe, as always. Thanks to y'all, as always, for being a part of everything. And did not lose my ring, but apparently I am the clumsiest person on the planet because I don't know how to operate a disposable razor like everybody else does. So that's another round for another Reaction Monday. As always, thanks for being a part of this, as you always are. Play it safe, everybody. Mucha platial. Since it is the end of the show, that means we get to do this. Back at it again, 9 to 5 tomorrow morning.